The next section that we're going to delve into is going back onto the farm. As probably some people know, there was a gentleman by the name of Gerard Daniels was going to present this afternoon. I spoke to Gerard this morning. I'll use his words, they are probably more exact than the technical termination, but he's had some work done on his pipes and to get sorted out. He's probably home today. He had a, let's say, not his best weekend, and he sort of feels it'll be back bigger and better than ever. With one little area he perhaps won't be, and that's those darts he smokes on a regular basis, will probably be a part of his past life, not part of his future life. But the main thing is he's in really good shape, very good spirit, and so, yeah, really positive. So it was good to catch him. He sends his regards. Luckily for Gerard, he has this other gentleman, which we already met, was Adam. And Adam's going to fill in, which I'm going to be interested. So, but first of all, before I ask Adam to come up, the two co-conspirators in this panel is, firstly, it's Monique Bryant, dairy farmer in conjunction with husband Mark, who have been very fortunate to continue their family business. They're third generation dairy farmers, and since Mark's family has been the guardians of our home dairy farm for that period of time. Situated in the Yorta Yorta country, nestled along the Broken Creek in a little town named Carimba, and which is located between the bigger townships of Numurkah and Nathalia. Her personal values centre around integrity, authenticity and honesty. Their business values are to create a sustainable, multi-generational and profitable business. Monique has spent significant time in local communities with primary schools, sporting clubs, volunteering board and committee and coaching positions. In an industry capacity, she's a regular supporter of events, is the chair of the Northern Victoria Riverina Rabobank Client Council, a group of primary producers who give the bank direct feedback on how rural communities can be better supported. Long-term sustainability, physical, mental wellbeing are some of the key focuses of the family and their operation. So I welcome Monique. And alongside Monique is Mark Walpole. Mark and family live in Yalka, if I've got that right, Northern Victoria, currently milking around 2,000 cows, and keep that number in your mind as Mark speaks, and in a newly built 80-stand rotary and freestall barns. Second generation dairy farm with wife Kate, who's with us as well, and 6 children, of which I believe 4 are working within the business. I think once we get into this session, you're going to get a much better appreciation of Mark's business than you will from his bio, because I think he, we'll understand how the journey has been for the family and what they've achieved. So, and I'm not going to introduce Adam again, as he's been up here before, but if you could come up to the stage and we'll go from there. I'll ask it. To kick off this session, beforehand we were going to have a bit of a talk about new genes, and which we still will do, but probably there's a bit of an idea of what goes on in the operation there. So I thought instead of that we might start, and first of all, Monique, if you could provide a little bit of background on the operation and the interaction you have with new genes, and then Mark will then move on to you, and then we'll get down to the end of and get a little bit more from Adam. Thanks.
Thanks. So I was thinking about how long we had been interacting with new genes. So I think that actually goes back to when new genes started back in 1989, and when my family moved over to Australia, we bought a dairy. Mum and Dad bought a dairy farm at Katandra, and we then started using new genes. And my husband's family also have had a really long association with new genes, and we use them. Probably how we interact with new genes is a lot different these days, but they come in and do all of our reproductive work, and we do some herd testing with them as well. So
And sorry,
Yeah.
just a bit of maybe a bit of size of the operation,
Oh,
and
okay,
just that little bit of background,
Yep,
because
okay.
I think it's going to be a slightly different circumstance to say Mark in terms of cow numbers and so on.
Correct. So we milk about 400 cows, probably in a space now where we want to expand a little bit, running it across about 1,300 acres.
Yep. So I started with my father and brother. I left school when I was in 88, and then Eugene started in 89. So we started with Eugene's sort of when they started. At that time, we were milking around 250 to 300 cows. And then we expanded up to the stage now where between myself and my brother, we've got a little over 3,000 cows. And Eugene's have been with us sort of the whole time, from herd testing, preg testing, calf dehorning, freeze branding, all of the animal traits sort of thing, and have been pretty easy to get along with the whole journey. Like they've grown with us, basically. Yeah.
Okay, Adam.
Yeah, well, first thing, just obviously you're seeing me again, and I've got my corporate shirt on now, so I'm a bit more passionate about this. But just on the point of view with Jared, Brooksy rang me at 4:30 on Saturday afternoon, which is pretty rare. The directors don't really ring anybody unless it's a death. So you think, right, we've got something pretty bad happening, and he tells me Jared's had a heart attack. One of the things Brooksy says to Jared is that you do know that women live longer than men, don't you? And Jared being Jared, and if he's here, he'd have a smoke right now, and you go, what the bloody hell are you talking about? And he goes, well, if they've got something wrong, they'll get it seen to, unlike you that'll try and punch through it. So the point of that is, if you do find something, all us old people that are kicking around, go and get it seen to. It saves a lot of stress out there. And he had this 3 weeks ago, so he probably should have. But anyway, that's our little message with that. Eugene's, 1989 it started, as we've said. It had 3 partners. They were all involved in every part of the business, herd recording, AI and so forth. It's adapted along. Some partners have left. Brooksy's come into the business. Adam came in. He's gone. I came into the business. We've just started. We've got another couple of young ones in there. Young Adzo from Northern Vic. We've got Josh from where I am down in Western Victoria and Victoria. So we've got people under 40 in the business, succession planning going. Expanded out 2012 down to Western Victoria, does South Australia, and obviously been into MAFRA as well. So it's a funny little business some days, because you look at it and you think to yourself, you're in a really dynamic company, and we like to be like that and try and do things. And then you go out and do, as we've got a bloke down our way, he rings you up and he says, one for the Frisian and one for the Jersey, and that's it. And it's a wooden shed, and you're back to doing what you thought people did in the 60s. And then you go to something like what Mark's got or Monique's got, and then you're really getting into something that's pretty exciting. So our business is based on service. We have the thing called the McDonald's philosophy: give the customer what they want, and if we don't have it, we can't give it to you. And by that, it's a bit like if you keep turning up for a hamburger, the usual one at our place, and you don't want beetroot, and they keep putting beetroot in it, after a couple of trips, you ain't going back and getting a hamburger. So we try and do those things and offer the service. That's what sets us apart. We're not the dearest, we're not the cheapest. We just try the service. From the point of view of where I sit and the rest of the staff, we value staff greatly at our business. We try and bring them on, we train them. We've got some younger people. You've got to integrate them into what we're doing with the 2 people here's business of what they're doing, because they're looking for different stuff. So it's a moving feast to going with it. So Jared's always thought about that in the front, talked about that with the other owners of the business, and try to get it. Some days the staff will tell you they don't feel too appreciated. I can tell you that's the case. We have some pretty brutal days with work, but a thank you from us, goes a long way, and we think it's a good place to work. People have opportunity at Eugene's to do whatever they like, and if they choose to leave working for Eugene's, that's not an issue, as long as they've left and gone to do something and they've got a work ethic and that sort of ability to go and do it. If they've worked well with us and they've go to someone else, we're more than happy. It's if they're valued to where they go to. So, and Eugene's is a business that sits around. It's a private business, which, some days people don't like the idea of it, but allows you to move pretty quick and respond to what customers' needs or wants are. And that's what we hope we do with these guys. So,
Okay, thanks for that. Monique, as you've gone through your journey, has it been, let's, make sure we don't make everything as, too sugar-coated. I mean, what would be the strengths and weaknesses you've found in that relationship as you've, and your goals to expand? And I gather you've done some things around collars or with meters and so forth. So, yeah, just a little bit of some of the things that you've found in that relationship.
So relationships, or having positive relationships, are at the very core of our business success. And we really value long-term relationships. So we look for service providers that can come into our business, and we want to have a long-term relationship with them, because I find it's just simply too difficult to be changing service providers all the time. And we certainly have had some cases. So I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I like to have things my certain way. And, actually Jared was at our house the other day doing some AI, and so I actually, when the AI techs come to my house, that I really just need their arm, because I'll do everything else for them. And he was growling at me because he didn't think I'd cut the straws. And so...
You now know that Jared doesn't do everything, so that's all right.
Certainly we've had some times, a couple of dealings in particular, like with New Jeans, where stuff hasn't gone the way that we would have hoped, and it's caused us a lot of pain, not only because we want to keep working with, or we wanted to keep working with New Jeans, just those relationships we have are more than professional, they're personal relationships as well. So we come to the table when there is an issue, just keep the facts on the table, and let's get a win-win outcome, because at the end of the day, the relationship is actually the most important thing that we're looking to preserve.
Okay, thank you. Mark, one of the things, just in your expansion, how many people do you employ on your farm, you think, on a good day?
We've got about 20 employees.
So there's a whole range of tasks that have to happen, and especially as you've gone into expansion. So where is perhaps a provider like New Jeans, what sort of tasks have they been able to come in and provide for you that perhaps you don't have to have your own staff do, and that you can focus on the things that you prioritised in the business development?
Yeah, so when we first started, so we still do, between myself and my son, do most of the AI inseminating. So we don't have New Jeans, we only occasionally have them come and help with big groups of inseminations. But the calf dehorning and freeze branding and that sort of thing, they come and do that. And we've basically, with the calves, they come in weekly or fortnightly, and the group of calves are just there and they do them, that we don't have to touch them, or, apart from say, yep, they're the calves there and I want you to do that group as well today. Apart from that, we don't have to do anything with them. And the freeze branding's the same. Yes, they know our system because they've had a long, and we don't, I wouldn't say it always goes perfect. Like Monique said, there's been a few issues along the journey, but none of them have, everything's worked itself out pretty easily without breaking any relationships. We've found it very easy to deal with.
So, Adam, during that period of time that you've transitioned through the business, any, reflecting on Monique and Mark's comments, anything you've seen changes in terms of the demands and, what the businesses had to cater for?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We talk about sometimes the old days, and you had an AI run, and, Centre Road, 33 farms, you go in and out each one. There's only 3 on it now. Maybe you don't need to go to one of those farms. So a big change with that, a big change with what people want. You're looking at fixed timed AIs now. We do a myriad of things. You've got that, still selling semen out there. Herd recording, we do a lot of needling of cows. We do A2 testing. We do herd auditing. So there's a lot of things. We'll turn our hands to a lot of different bits and pieces out there for sure, that what farmers are looking for. So again, if you can fit it in, and I think one of the things that's important is that you can't just think you've got everything and you can do the whole lot. You look at people and you look at their business and you've got to see where they're going. For us to stay in business, we need to know what they're looking at doing. They need to know what we're looking at doing, and if we're training people to go along and be able to cater to that. So, and there is pain along the way. Monique's been pretty kind. She barred me up last night about what happened, and, they had an issue out there, and to the credit of everybody, they got in there and sorted that out. New Jeans is not a perfect organisation. Nothing is. You're going to have issues, and issues run both sides, misunderstandings and the rest of it, and sometimes things do slip past. I mean, farmers are incredibly busy, and sometimes we're incredibly busy, and you've got to stop and think about that a little bit to service people and what they want. What are you doing this for and why? So, and communication, being upfront, pretty honest nowadays. With the way that the world's moving now in agriculture, it's pretty important.
So if I draw the conclusion then of his communication relationships are pretty critical in a service provision, and that's so. How's that develop? How do you, get along and start in 1989 when you started your businesses in all respect, and create that level of trust that you can have good and bad days? So how did that?
Well, I think it's pretty well on delivering what you say you're going to do. And if you can say you can do it, you can do it. And don't be afraid to say no if you can't do it. You can't promise anything you can't do. And then it comes down to people and staff are pretty important. And, it's an interesting thing with staff because we all go through it. Like I like to think I was a pretty easygoing sort of person. As I get older, you get grumpier and you can't do stuff. And, we're all the same with people and staff. We've had to let people go. We've had to cull people, to use Lauren's term. You've got them out the back. You have to make changes of that. One of our sayings is, you have a bad apple in our industry, in our office or in our team. If you don't address the bad apple, there's just you and the bad apple that's left, with no one to work with either. So no customers. So you've got to look at those things, but then you've got to give people and find a little bit about what they can and can't do. And you give people little, I guess you call them little things on the way. We were talking about Monique, one of the young ones that was working for us, had a bit of a car accident there one day. Well, if you employ 18 and 19-year-olds, they're going to have car accidents. It's just going to happen. They're going to sleep in. I can tell you that right now. They love to get on the piss on Saturday night, and Sunday night's not a good morning. But we're all the same. As you get older, you're no different, But people realise that because they've got people and they're doing those sort of things. They're going to footy. They've got families. They've got kids. You've got to look at all those sort of situations. One of the biggest things I've found in my time with New Jeans, the number of people we have, and we employ up to 55 at certain times, most people that are unhappy at work aren't unhappy with work. It's outside of work that I've got to find out what they're unhappy about, so then we can modify that so we get back on the work. It's very rarely is it work that they're cracked up about. If it is, that's a really simple fix. But and the other one we often say to people too is, you don't have to sell your soul to New Jeans. That's a big one Jared says all the time. If you don't like working here, we're not making you. We don't make you come and work for us. The government doesn't decree it. We like people to come here. We like people to work in teams. We do a lot of that. We like them to have a lot of fun. And, when it comes to customers, you can tell people, I know for a fact, talking to everybody, they all like going to Monique's place and they like going to Mark's place. So they feel it's a good place to go and work. So that's not an issue. Whereas you see other names in the diary and they go, ugh. And you go, well, I feel the same, but, I'll come with you. Well, that doesn't make it any better. So that's what I put in.
So Mark, I have a sneaking suspicion your journey's not over yet, that 2,000 cows, freestall, new 80 stand dairy may not be the last bit of addition to the operation. So if you are going to keep growing, what are the services that you may need to add, to come from a New Jeans is going to support that growth?
So probably we haven't done any genomic testing stuff before. We've done herd tests along the way. We would continue to do that. That'd still be a pretty big part of that. They're probably the two main things that we might take on. So we're looking that we'd probably end up around 4,000 cows. So yeah, I can't see why they've managed to come this far. Like, we've always found a way to work together, and they've provided what we've needed, expand and provided what we've needed along the way. So I can't see that they wouldn't the rest of the way.
Okay. And Monique, I think you've got a few changes you're hoping in your operation, and the same question, basically. What are your needs going to be into the future that maybe are slightly different to today?
Yeah, so hopefully we continue to grow a little bit, and I'm sure New Jeans will be there for the journey. And I just wanted to touch on the point that I think a lot of our work that probably Mark and Kate and that we do can be. We can organise that in advance, and I always try and have a conversation with the office in Yumurka about, okay, I'm thinking about needling these cows this time. Is that going to work with you guys? I try and be really open and transparent about what we are doing, and I try to be quite organised and be present when they're rocking in to do work. And where I can see New Jeans really helping me as well. So I do like data a little bit, and we do drill down on our data on our. I track the technicians and the sires, and I can give them feedback on certain sires, reproductive performance, but also technicians, and working together on how we can lift the overall reproductive performance of our herd as well.
Okay, fantastic. So, Adam, anything else with ticking along?
Oh, yeah, I think so. When you look at that, from what Monique just said there about people in training and the rest of it and feedback, our industry is a bit funny. They talk about, pregnancies, conception rate, whichever way you want to look at it. We're pretty keen to get feedback. We need to know. We've got a lot of people working out there. Everybody should be prepared to know. If you've got issues, you want to know, good and bad. Not everything's looking at the negative all the time in our world. You've got to look at the positive out there as well. If you've got people doing a good job, what are they doing? Can they help train other people? The systems, we talk a lot about systems and teamwork in our business. One person can't do it all. One company can't AI all the cows here. One person can't do this. So you have to train people, you have to have systems to create some of these things and to get some of these jobs done. And you've got to have leaders amongst people and followers and those sort of things. We've got some staff, we were chatting about someone from Yumurka last night. Maury's a great guy. You just got to give Maury what to do for the day. There's nothing wrong with that. Maury's happy with it. We're all happy. It goes with it. Other people are real on the front foot, see what's happening, understand what's going on, organise a team of people. So, and I think as you're growing, we've sent some people overseas for some training, some advanced stuff. Obviously, we had a chat about the collars today. We're pretty interested. We think maybe, we don't know, we think maybe in time we won't be doing cattle drugs and stuff. Someone's going to come up with that. What are we going to do? We're going to have collars, KMARs, what have you. Monique asked me about twice a day AI. I can think it's a good thing. So most people in the room are just go, well, you're an idiot. Well, think about this, that you've got a group of people that are working for you that could start at 6 in the morning and knock off at lunchtime, and another group at lunchtime and knock off at 6 o'clock. So we try and get quite a lot of young people. We do a bit of work experience in schools and stuff to get them in and have them. But some of those young people can't cope with early mornings every day. Just can't. It's just one of those things. The odd one can, but a lot of them don't. They sit around all hours of the night. They can't get out of bed. Right, so you can do an afternoon shift for a week. Those things, you've got to start thinking about that, how it works, because if Monique and Mark Mark decides to go to twice a day AI on his farm and said, we need someone up there to do it night time because we're not going to do it, as a business, we've got to work out how we're going to do it. So if we've got some people that are capable of doing that, that service is what his need is, because that's what our role is, what we're doing. So, that the ongoing training, it's nothing magical in what we do. We just got to get a lot of cows pregnant. Parky said it today, he gets off on repo stuff. We like the same thing and all the other bits that go with it. And it gives people jobs, it's you want to make it a fun place to work. There's opportunities, agriculture's got it, and breeding cows has got a significant thing out there in the future to help people through. So to me, it's a very important job. And these people value it because their business relies on cows pregnant to start milk. And it's the undersold value of our industry. Is genetics is a great thing. Getting that cow pregnant is pretty important.
Okay, well, I think we've also got a couple of questions here, and I'm not sure whether we've got a Beatle fan, let it be. So this must be towards you, Adam. Where do you recruit, especially with the current unemployment?
Yeah, right.
Pool
So where do we get people from? Well, we've had people from abattoirs, we've had vet nurses, we've had dental nurses, people, ex-farmers, of course, had some truck drivers, anyone that wants to have a go at it, connected with it. We talk to schools a lot, unis, those sort of things. So we're always out there talking to people about it. bit of word of mouth goes good as well, good and bad. It is a pretty brutal place to work at Eugene some days when you got 400 or 500 cows on a time day high and you got 3 days in a row, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It doesn't feel that glamorous by Friday, but you got to make it sort of work. So, but we get out there amongst it. We try and make it a place that people want to come and work at, give them some opportunity. But, there's a couple of good sayings at Eugene's. You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. If you use them in that ratio, you'll never get in trouble. And you've got 2 arms and 1 arse. Make sure you're not sitting on it all day and you're doing something with your 2 arms. Is it brutal? Yeah, we employ people, and that's what those things. But that's Jared. If he was sitting, he's going to tell you that. He'd tap a smoke at the same time, but that's beside the point. But that's what we do. We get out there as many places as possible to talk to people about the benefits of our industry and agriculture in general, and hopefully get them from that. And if they leave us, if they're good for someone else, well, that's great.
So after today, and thanks, Michelle, and I'm going to direct this to Monique and Mark, not so much to
Not good for me, that one.
Adam, is as we move towards demonstrating greater sustainability, what are the opportunities for service providers to better support farmers? I'm going to turn that question around slightly. What things do you feel a service provider or Eugene's for you guys would help you through this sustainability if you start to think about some different things in your operation? So is there any connection yet, or is that something that's going to be the potential future relationship? So Monique?
I'm thinking, what are you doing, Mark? So I guess when I first read that, thank you, Michelle, I was thinking about, I need people to help me understand my data better. So it might come down to if I'm genomically testing, how can someone in the Eugene's office help me maybe not understand my data, but help me better select bulls or put better bull teams forward for the things that we are looking for. That's probably one thing that jumps to my mind.
Okay. And Mark, is there any...
Yeah, so we mostly work with Dennis. So Dennis has helped us with bull selection over the time, and I could see that because we've gone to a barn situation now, we're sort of chasing a little slightly different type of cow. So, selecting bulls to create that type of cow. The other thing that I have found really good with Dennis and Jared have had a pretty good relationship, but they're always upbeat about what's going on. It doesn't matter, whether you're on a high or low in the industry. They're always upbeat about something. Yeah, and there's always a good future in it. You talk to a lot of people, and why are you doing what you're doing? Because there's not a lot of future. But yeah, they are very upbeat about it.
Okay, thanks.
I've got a bit of an answer on that one.
And a bit's the operative word.
20 seconds to go with it. But if you look at our industry at the moment, and you look at vets and you look at various things, most vets are girls. We employ a lot of girls. People don't want to work in large animal practices. And you look at what, greatest sustainability and what you can do. We're thinking about what would be future from pulling bloods. We already do preg testing on bloods. And it got a bit of bad press because people, I have a shot at the vet industry. They didn't want to do it, but we can train a lot of people to take bloods. But you could imagine at the moment at Monique and Mark's place that we could be pulling bloods, and that diagnostic could go there for various things on their farm. So what they pull out of blood tests now out of people, and you think about it in the animal world, what could a vial of blood start to tell you what's happening on that farm? And that's something we could do. We've invested in a bit of stuff with lab, but we might invest more, or it might go somewhere else. But you start to think about those things. Mark's going to run 4,000 cows. He's got a lot of stuff happening. He's looking at a herd, and then he's got to find individual problems in those cows. What can we do? Dr. Carl's talked about these collars and how far that stuff can go. So I think as us as service providers, we've got to look at that. We talk about milk price variability, price of bulls, calves and all that stuff go into it. But yeah, those opportunities are out there to come into it, just in that field alone, let alone anything else. So.
Okay, great. Well, we will call this session. I've got our first overseas person waiting for us over in the UK very early in the morning. So Monique, Mark and Adam, don't look anything like Jared. Thank God for you. So thank you so much for joining us.